Well, I used to play hockey. I don't play anymore. I play defense.
Why don't play hockey?
Well, because I'm old now.
He doesn't look like me.
Thank you, sweetie. That's the nicest compliment I've gotten all day.
One of the boys and girls clubs here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where the NHL Player Coalition program gave $20,000 towards 10 of the boys and girls clubs so that they can buy hockey equipment and increase their staff. This must make you really happy.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's great that everybody found the time to make time to come. Last year, I couldn't make it to Nashville. I got reined in New York, couldn't get a flight out. So this year, even though it's been a long season, I wanted to try to make an effort to get out here. So coming in was essential. Me and Nancy Carter, obviously being co-chairs, it's important for us to be at these types of events, and I think it's just great for the game. I mean, these things speak for themselves. You got to be there to really know the impact that it can have, and I think we made a difference today.
PK, when you were playing, you wanted to change the game, and you did. When you take a look at where hockey is at today and minorities involved in hockey, is it growing, and are there more minorities involved in hockey than you would have thought?
Yeah, the needle's moving. I think I'm a part of a lot of different groups and a part of a long list of people that have all been pulling on the rope to help grow the game since I've been here, and I'm just happy to do as much as I can. Everybody has their limitations on what they can give. Not everybody has to give all the money in the world, but when you can give your time, that's valuable. For these kids, for any children, raising kids, having an influence on kids, you got to be present. So they got to see you, they got to feel you, they got to hear you. So this is a pretty big deal for us to be here today and be able to do this. This is going to have an influence on all the other markets that hockey is in now. So I think no one wants to be left out. Everybody wants to be a part of this, and the needle's moving, like I said.
Stanley Cup awarded a couple of days ago, and yet Connor McDavid is being criticized by some for not coming out for the Conn Smythe Trophy presentation. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this.
Well, I'll never speak for Connor McDavid. I don't think anybody should. So I think sometimes people speak out of turn. People are allowed to give their opinion. But if I was to guess or make an estimate on why he didn't come out, was because that was Florida's moment and not his moment. I actually think it was admirable of him. He's always been a guy that's stood in front of the microphones, wins, losses. He's done everything that's asked of him. He knows that in his situation there's always going to be people that are critical of everything that you do. I think I can relate to that a little bit. But he has been a consummate professional, and he has been such a great face for the league, especially through the playoffs. All of them, not just him, but Matthew Tkachuk as well. And I think for Connor, realizing that was Florida's moment that they earned, not his moment. If he would have come out and gotten it, sure. But for him, it's also his leadership to his team. We were here to win a Stanley Cup, and the individual accolades, he gets a ton of those, I'm sure. I don't think he did it to disrespect the game or disrespect the trophy itself. I think it was more of respect to the Florida Panthers and how hard they've worked to get Panthers and how hard they've worked to get to that moment, and it was their moment to enjoy. And I think sometimes people don't understand when you're a guy like Connor McDavid, you can take up a lot of air in any room without even opening your mouth. So for him, I think removing himself out of that situation, allowing Florida to fully enjoy that moment with their fans, teammates, and family was, I'm going to go out and guess that that's exactly why he didn't go out there.
Yeah.
So, for a lot of people who didn't play, who have never been in that situation, they may not understand, but, at least take the time to let him answer for himself.
PK, I'd be remiss if I don't ask you a couple of Montreal questions. You and I had a chat before, and I know that Montreal's still in your heart.
Yeah, I love the city of Montreal, always will. I'll always look back at my time there as a special time because it was. I started my career there. I left home at 15 to play hockey, and the first major city that I ever lived in was Montreal, to play professional hockey. And the people that took care of me are all still there. So I love going back to the city. That's why I try to get back as much as I can. I try not to miss any Grand Prix. I try not to miss any special weekends there. My brother's chosen to spend his bachelor weekend there, and Montreal's like a second home for me. So, my family's in Toronto, but Montreal will always feel like home.
They're rebuilding, but they say that they're ready to turn the corner now. Give me your impressions on Montreal, Marty St. Louis as a coach, and I would have imagined you would have liked to have played for a coach like Marty St. Louis.
Oh yeah, I know Marty personally. Marty's played with some close friends of mine as well throughout his career, and I got a ton of respect for him. Obviously, I know Steven Stamkos, who's always spoken so highly of the time that he spent with Marty and the influence he had on his career. So the hire of bringing in Marty St. Louis from the very start, I was always high on that because I knew the impact that he would have on a Cole Caulfield and a Nick Suzuki and some of the young players that have come through the organization. And I know how tough it can be to play in Montreal. So, I was just with Cole actually yesterday in Detroit and spent some time with him. He looks great. He looks ready. I want to see Montreal turn the corner. They've done a really good job with the team and the players that they brought in. I think, like I said, Cole and Suzuki are the future there. There's no question about that. Those guys are studs. And, that's where it starts. So hopefully, now that we've gotten through the Stanley Cup final and we didn't see a Stanley Cup come to Canada, hopefully the next one comes to Montreal.
Very quickly, I won't take up too much more of your time, but any advice for some of these kids that are going to be drafted over the next couple of days?
Oh, I'll never forget this. As I was, after I was drafted to the OHL, I got drafted 105th overall, and a scout told me, PK, remember, it's not the rounds you go in, it's the rounds you go out, and meaning the NHL draft. And I quickly realized that doesn't even really matter, what rounds you go in. If you're selected, be happy, celebrate it, enjoy it, because it's a great accomplishment. But the work is really just starting. So, especially in the game today, this is the toughest sport in the world to play at the professional level. And if you're not all in, if you're not, all about the game and getting better every day, you get left behind. So, embrace the moment, enjoy the draft with your family, whether you go or you don't go. Just remember that tomorrow the work starts, and you got to go to work and try to accomplish your goal of playing in the National Hockey League.
In ending, after the draft, the next thing up in the National Hockey League is unrestricted free agency. You brought up Steven Stamkos' name. As someone who experienced Montreal, the highs and the lows, which was you, what would you say to pending free agents about Montreal?
Well, I would say the same thing to people that want to play in Montreal. I would say the same thing to people that are going to Edmonton or Calgary or Toronto or Winnipeg or any Vancouver, any Canadian team, that there's nothing like playing in Canada. So you'll go to some special places. Vegas is a special place to play, but what I saw in the playoffs from the Edmonton fan base in that city was very similar to what it's not quite like Montreal, but it's very similar. And I think you see the culture, you see the passion that people bring to the arena to watch you play every night. And I think if you're someone that loves hockey, that loves the game and truly wants to win, there's no better place to play than in Montreal. But there's a double-edged sword. Some guys want to play and want to win, but don't want people to know who they are and don't want. But that's what comes with it. By the way, the way the world is, people are going to know who you are everywhere you go now, with social media and everything. So to me, why not play in the best places where people care the most? And Montreal might be that place. So if you're drafted by the Montreal Canadiens, buckle up, saddle up, strap in, and get ready, because it's a fun place to play.
Okay, and ending, you're working with one of the best in Stephen A. Smith. You got collaborations with Pat McAfee, who's absolutely awesome. Are you going to come on at least once with little me on the Sick Podcast at some point?
We definitely got to sit down and plan the right date for me to come on, but I would definitely love to come on, and always respected the fact that you loved your job and what you did. You love sports, you love entertainment, you love the business, but you always keep it real and you give your opinion, and you're an honest man. So would definitely love to come on and chop it up with you, definitely.
Un dernier mot en français?
Merci beaucoup. Montreal, I love you.